Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Doha Heat Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us who I've been following for quite a while on social media. She's well known as the PMP mom, but her real name is Shahar Banu.
Shahar Banu Rizvi, yes.
Yeah, Shahar Banu Rizvi. Yeah. So, welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
It's my pleasure.
It's my pleasure.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I am basically originally from Pakistan, and I moved here 15 years back when I got married. And since I have a software engineering and computer science background, I started working here with the commercial bank as a project manager, did my PMP, hence the PMP in my name as well. So I was working for about 3-4 years, and then when we started our family, that is when I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. Now I have 3 kids, and since my youngest one started school, that is when I decided that, I need to do something with my life. So I started writing the blog and sharing my experiences as an expat, sharing my mom's recipes on the blog, and kind of picked up and then I started writing about my real life struggles as well. So it's nothing is planned on my blog, like, how it's not like a commercial blog.
Yeah,
no, it's just, whatever I feel like, whatever moves me, I would write about it. Then people started complimenting on the photos and, why don't you take photos of us? And so that kind of turned into a photography side, freelance work as well, which I started last year, and it's been going well, alhamdulillah.
So what pictures do you usually take?
I do events, I do family photography, I have made like a studio in my house as well, so I do professional headshots, I did photography for a nursery here, the annual photos, so it's like a mixed bag. I sometimes do events for Grazia and Harper's Bazaar, so it's just like a mixed bag of stuff that I do,
so
whatever.
It's all self-taught?
It is self-taught. I had a friend who used to live here in Doha who kind of introduced me to my first DSLR, and he helped me pick, and he's still on my speed dial, when I need to ask something. He now doesn't live here. But then, he started me, and then it's all self-taught, YouTube videos, books, whatever I could find. And photography is something that I don't think I still can call myself. Like, there was a very long time I used to call myself an amateur photographer. I'm like, I can't put myself as a professional photographer because there's so much to learn. Still, it's like, the new lenses, new technology keeps on coming. It's just learning keeps on going. So it's been mostly self-taught. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. And in a year you've started already professionally.
Yes, I started last year, and it's been going very well, alhamdulillah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your experience living in Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
How has it been first as a married woman and now as a mother?
Okay. So I came from Karachi, which is like a crazy busy city. So when back in 2004 February I moved here, I landed and the airport was really tiny at that time. I'm like, this is it? This is the city you told me you'll bring me? And I was kind of very... it was difficult because I came from a very busy city to a very slow life. But, I was newly married, and you are like, in that honeymoon zone period where you're setting up your new house for the first time and stuff like that. So it was exciting, and I loved the fact that Qatar is such a, a very, though it was a struggle adjusting to the slow-paced life here. But once I got used to it, I go back to Karachi, and in 2 weeks, I'm like, I'm done. I need to go back home.
Yeah.
Yes, I need, the craziness around a big metropolitan city. So I got used to the Doha simple and life, and I love it here. And even as a mother now, it's such a safe place. I absolutely, my family is mostly in North America, settled there. My husband's family is in Karachi. So, we keep on thinking, do we need to move somewhere? The initial plan when we moved here was 5 years. It's been 15. and we haven't moved at all. But yeah, we like, when I think about, we do go for holidays and stuff to meet my family back home and US. And but I don't see myself living there because I've gotten used to the safety and security. The kids are in the playground. I'm not like watching them like a hawk. It's like you, even in the West, if the kids are in a playground, you're like, you have to be so careful of what, like, bad things could happen. But the safety and security, and it's been 15 years, all my married life is here. So Qatar has a very special place in my heart. Like, it's my first actual home. For my parents' home, we built our first home here. So it's a very special place for us.
That's beautiful. Yeah. How did you sort of like you said, it's a very slow paced life, and I came here around 11 years ago. So even when I came, it was pretty slow.
Yeah.
So I mean, only recently have I seen like it dramatically expand to what it is. So how did you sort of, adjust or like transition? What did you do to adjust to Qatar and to the slow paced life, which I think even now, like, although it's we have so many things to do, it's still as comparatively.
But it might be different for single people, because you want the happening life and things. But trust me, as a family, as a mother, I love that pace of life, that I have the time to do my work as well, and then have the family time and enjoy with my kids.
Yeah.
Because back in Pakistan, when my husband was working, he would come back home at 7, 8. He now comes back at 4. So, we have every evening he's there to help me put the kids to bed, which would not happen. I don't see that happening in US or back in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So, I love that pace of life and the time that it gives you to enjoy the life, enjoy the little moments in life.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite thing about Qatar, probably, that you get to. But it was, I would not lie, it was a big struggle for me, because I was back in Karachi before I got married. I was working a 9 to 5 job, and then I was teaching as a visiting faculty at the university where I graduated from. So I was teaching the bachelor's of computer science kids, and so I would be out the whole day. I'll leave home at like 8 in the morning and come back at 10, and then from that I got married. 1 week after all the wedding festivities are over, I'm here. And nothing. And, I was like, quiet. It was kind of initially it was good, exciting, getting new furniture, furnishing the house and all that. But that was done in 3 months. And trying, I never, ventured into the kitchen before. But, now I was like, okay, I have to cook. So I, venturing all that. So everything was new and exciting. But then after everything settled down, then I was like, okay, what do I do all day? I struggled. And in fact, I went into clinical depression in that phase of 1 year when I was not working and I was in Qatar. And then my husband, like, you need to be busy. You're a busybody. You need to, go back to work. And then I started the job hunt and all, and commercial bank came in, and then it was, fine again. But I do have a little hormonal and genetic factor into the depression, because my father was a patient of anxiety and depression. So I do get that as well. So it that triggers easily, and so once I started work, then life was good again, and we started. It was I loved working, and then I actually felt settled, because then I made my own friends. It was not through my husband, like everybody I meet was my husband, colleague, but then I had my own life, and
community.
It was and which is important, because even in married life you need to have like your own thing as well, not just like you can't be together, like it would get suffocating. So that is exactly when I actually settled in Qatar, when I started working and I had a job and a life, and so
that's actually very interesting, because I mean, as humans we genuinely crave that sort of sense of community, like sense of friendships around us. So
and your own, like not
on your
like
own. Something that you build very like organically by yourself.
Exactly.
So like, do you have any advice for like stay-at-home moms who don't have that sort of like a job to go to where they can find friends or like I don't know, events and things like that. Like how would they cope with that?
When so fast forward to after I got pregnant, there's like a lot of things that happened, and I talk about very openly on the blog. I struggled with depression. Then when we started to start planning a family, then I figured out I couldn't conceive that easily. Then I had to undergo infertility treatment. So that was again taxing and triggered the depression. It's like a vicious cycle. It came back. And then eventually, fast forward, we conceived, we had a baby girl. I decided I don't want to work anymore, and it was a very precious pregnancy. And during the 5th month of the pregnancy, the doctors told me I need to be on bed rest. So I left my job. Then in that time, when I was just sitting in my, with my feet up, pregnant, that is when I did my PMP exam. And I was like, I'll go back to work, once she is like 2 years old and into the nursery and all that, which never happened, but that's another story. But so that is where I decided to when we had the child, then I was like, then it would start getting back to me again, that I was like stuck, like. Again, motherhood is very, humbling and a very beautiful experience. But the problem was that then I was stuck in home again with the child and not having that outlet for myself. So I started doing, I enrolled in cake decorating classes. I was like, I need like 3 hours one Saturday for myself without that attachment to me, and have that me time. So for stay-at-home mother, there's so many things that you can do. If you're not working, find a hobby. Like there are lovely, classes all around Doha. I did like once when I was really bored, I did the VCU community classes. They offer for the community, they offer like painting, fabric painting, watercolors, so many different things. So I've been, I tried to keep myself busy. And then when you go there, you meet new people, make friends. So it's like there's a lot to do other than just, it's very important. I would say it's very important for a mother to get out of that cycle of just, cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the kids, to have time for yourself, for your brain, to nurture and, let it grow. So, find a hobby, read a book, like join a book club, go to the, get out of the house. And that also changes, you get up, you dress up. Otherwise, you're just like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. You're like, I would do that. I would be in my PJs all day because I don't have to go anywhere. And that kind of created, increased my depression,
like
because it's an unhealthy environment. I was not going out anywhere. So, it's like, I would say like, you stay-at-home mom or a working mom, take out time for your own self, like, maybe like 2 hours in a whole week. But that is so refreshing. You come back happy to your family. And like, when I was going through depression, exactly. When I was going through depression, my doctor used to tell me, because there's mom guilt as well. I would be like, no, but I can't leave her, and I'm crying, and I was like a disaster. And he would say, you know what? Your child needs a happy mother rather than a mother 24/7. She will be fine 2 hours without you. But if you come back home happier, as a happier person, that's what she needs more than like, a mother who's sulking. So I always say, do something for yourself, because your kid does not need you 24/7, but needs a mother who's happy when she's around.
That's amazing. I think that's something that a lot of mothers.
Yes, that is the key. And that, that statement of that doctor, like it was 8 years back, but it stuck to me like forever. And I truly, truly believe in that. That's changed everything, how I am as a mother, as a woman. So
that's amazing. So I just wanted to go back to the mental health struggles, and also I've been following your blog, and I see that you're very like genuine, and you're very open with sharing your stories, and I mean your thoughts, and I think that's very refreshing in a blogger, honestly, because a lot of the times you just know that you're always being sold things, and it's not coming from a genuine place. Like I'd much rather see someone who also shares like, hey, I'm having a really bad day, as opposed to, hey, my life is perfect every single day of the week. And I really appreciate that you do that. So how was it difficult to like sort of open up your life to sort of scrutiny and talk about your mental health struggles?
So when I was struggling with mental health and was diagnosed clinical depression, I have been on medication since for a long time, and I talk about it because I feel people do not, there's such a big taboo around it. So I wanted to break that, and I'm like, I hid it for a long time. Only my siblings and my immediate like friends, and because if I would start to bring it in a conversation, I would get like, why are you depressed? You should be grateful to Allah, Mia. You have everything. Like there's so many people like worse than you, financially, or don't have kids.
Yeah.
Or, you're ungrateful, and
more,
and that would stop me. I'm like, she's not getting what I'm trying to say. This is beyond my control. It's not that I'm not it's depression is not something that defines the how much faith, how strong your faith is, or the lack of it. It's nothing to do with that. It's just a malfunctioning of an organ of a body. For example, I also have like hypothyroidism. My thyroid doesn't produce enough thyroxine, so I need to top it up with a medication, right? And similarly for diabetes, like high blood pressure, there's so many things where we are not ashamed of talking about it. Oh, I have diabetes, so I take insulin. Like, because your body is not producing enough, you have no shame in taking that medication. But when it comes to mental health, it's exactly the same thing. My brain is not producing enough serotonin, and that is causing me, all the low moods and the depression and everything. And if I take medication for it to top it up, to help my body produce enough, like, why is the shame associated? And so I kind of last year, it was, I think, during Ramadan as well, there was number of suicide, celebrity suicide, like Kate Spade. And then there was another suicide in, actually a couple of suicide in no, it was Avicii? A chef as well.
Was it Avicii also? Yeah, there was a chef as well.
There was chef as well. Yeah. And then there was a couple of suicide in Haram in Makkah, where people had jumped off. And I was like, and people were talking about, oh, check on your stronger friends, and tell them they're not alone, and this and that. And I was like, okay, everybody is saying check on their stronger friends, and you're not alone, but nobody's saying you're not alone, because I also suffer. I'm with you. So that point was a triggering point where I was like, okay, I contacted Gulf Times. I'm like, this is my story. Would you want to publish it? They're like, they published it next week as a cover on the community page. I'm like, oops. Okay, that went a little too far. But I was very scared the night I knew it would be, coming in the newspaper tomorrow, because I was like, I don't know, how people will take it. How would they, because it is very scary to share that vulnerability side of you and on your weakness.
And also because I feel like a lot of the times, especially this region, it takes a while to cope with like issues around mental health. I don't know why that is. But it is there.
And it's not just in this region. It's like back home in I would say in Pakistan as well. It's in our it's not very, like, people still find it
problematic that you're going to a psychiatrist.
Exactly. And I felt the same. The first time my husband took me for an appointment, I'm sitting in the waiting room and thinking, damn, what if somebody sees me here? What am I doing at a psychiatric clinic? Like, it was so much, there was so much shame associated with it. There is a stigma definitely attached to it. So I wanted to talk about it and tell people that, hey, it's okay. See, people who follow me, they think that everything is good and happy in my life. And I'm like, no, it's like, there is a struggle. So, and it's okay. You can come out of it. Like this, like all the blog and the photography, everything is post my depression. It's, so I have been able to lead like a fulfilling life after that. It's not the end of the world. But I just wanted to, talk about it in order to normalize the conversation around it.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like I shouldn't feel shame that I'm on antidepressant because I take, whenever I tell that I take medication for my thyroxine as well. Like, my thyroid gland doesn't work properly. So I need to take medication for that. My serotonin, my brain doesn't work properly. It doesn't produce enough serotonin. So I have to top it up. And it's, like it depends on your case to case. Like some people have to take it long term because like in my case, it has a genetic factor involved. In some cases, the medication is tapered off, like you take for a bit. Like it depends on your treatment. I always say that, seek professional help and don't ignore it. But there's also a problem is that it's kind of, the word depression is used very loosely in our society.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You're feeling sad. You're like, oh, I'm so depressed.
Yeah.
Right? So sadness, they are emotions. You can't like take medication for emotions, right? So you need to be properly diagnosed that you have clinical depression, and there's misuse of medication as well. So it needs like, I don't promote, like when I wrote that story, people say, oh, you're promoting, taking medication. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just saying it's okay in a case where you have to. It's okay, like you need to go undergo a medical treatment or a surgery. You would go through it. You would not just go and, like if you're just doing it for like a plastic surgery or, for you're just like taking drugs as a kind of a,
yeah, I know what you mean.
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's like there's abuse. It needs professional help, professional diagnosis. It needs to be, so it's not that you cannot, you should not take medication because, oh, they would mess up your brain or something. They don't. Like, if you're with a professional who is, taking care, is experienced, who knows what you're having suicidal thoughts and you're like, no, I will not take depression medication. Now that's silly because, you might, do something very stupid and end up your life and, cause problems for the whole family. So I would suggest that, seek professional help and don't like, sadness is something else. Depression is totally different. Yeah. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
So how was the reaction to your piece?
I was super, super overwhelmed by the messages, phone calls that came when people saw that and they're like, we could have never guessed that you were suffering from that because, oh, you're so, you are such a inspiring person. You do this, you do that. I'm like, yeah, but there's a reality to my, life as well. I do struggle. And what was really surprising is every second or third person I know told me either they or a family member was suffering from depression. But nobody talks about it. It's so common. Why don't we talk about it? Why don't we, when two women are pregnant, they're talking, oh, I'm having, this problem in pregnancy, that problem. It's so common to talk about your medical issues, but when it comes to your mental health, everybody wants to shush and, shrug it under the carpet. And so I just wanted to talk about, that it's okay to talk about it. It's fine, and there is treatment available depending on your how the severity of your depression. There obviously, lifestyle changes helps. Exercising boost your serotonin. Like there are foods that help you, feel good, like greens and bananas have a lot of, they produce a lot of serotonin. So like there are lifestyle changes that can help you lift up that mood. But depending on your situation, if you're like suicidal thoughts, you don't want
to make lifestyle changes. You just don't want to do anything.
You don't want to, like I was at a point in my life where I would not want to get out of my bed. And my husband would say, oh, let's go here. I'm like, you don't understand, but I do not have the physical energy to get out of the bed. He's like, just shower, you'll feel better. I'm like, I cannot, and it's very difficult for a person who's living with a depressed person as well, because he couldn't understand. Like, I would say I do not have the physical energy to move and get up and take a shower. And he's like, why? You'll feel fresh and this, and that's a normal person speaking. But the depressed person is just, you feel like you are stuck in a bubble, and you can't break out of it. It's the worst feeling in the world, where you don't feel the energy to get out of your own
And nobody
bed.
else understands.
And nobody understands, and they'll be like, oh, you'll be fine, just get up, let's go out, do this. And you're like, you don't understand. I do not feel I don't have the physical energy to move.
Yeah.
So, but he was very, very supportive, and I know how frustrating it must be for him, but he was always, he was the one who pushed me that I need medical, and I was like, no, I'll be fine, I'll just need to get myself busy. And you kind of, initially do that. But when I started to think about, my misery will only end if I end my life, I had those thoughts. And then he's like, no, you need professional help. So that is when he took me to the doctor. We started the treatment. It was the worst. It was like my most difficult conversation that I had with a stranger and me in a room. And I'm talking about my darkest, deepest, feelings. And I'm crying, talking to, and breaking that barrier of talking to somebody about how I feel, who would understand because he's the professional. It was the most difficult conversation of my life, but that changed my life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, how would you advise like people who are, like you said, your husband in that kind of position, or that someone's suffering, or you are suffering yourself? How would you advise, like, apart from like taking professional help, what kind of, like you said, you mentioned lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
What else can someone do for, like, if I have a friend who I want to help out, or what can you do?
Talk about it. Like, don't like, I also, when I wrote that piece, I said, I had written like things not to do, not to say to a depressed person, oh, you'll be fine. Oh, just thank God, you're just being ungrateful.
Yeah.
There is nothing related to faith or being ungrateful. Just be encouraging, listen, to a friend. Maybe, exercising changes a lot of stuff. Like, when I'm a very lazy person, but whenever I'm like exercise half an hour in the morning, that day of mine is just like, you are so energetic. Your brain, your brain is like, because it gets all the juices, like it produces all the juices that it needs to be happier. Foods, like, changing lifestyle in that way, like, research on what foods would make you, the sadness go away. Like, there are nuts, there are, all these healthy green vegetables and bananas and stuff like that. So and be supportive. Like, I know how frustrating it was for my husband, but he never like lost it on me that, okay, I don't understand what's wrong with you or something like that, because that would just make the other person close and they would not want to talk. And, like, encourage them to have a dialogue, like, don't say things that would stop. Like, I would tell a friend that I'm depressed. Why are you depressed? Like, there's no reason for why. Like, I can't tell you a reason, because I had no reason. Like, my life was good. I had a baby. I was struggling with infertility. That was over. Everything was perfect. Why was I depressed? And I would just go quiet on that, not talk further, because I don't have an answer to the why. I don't know why, like, So, be encouraging and support, like, talk about it more. It's okay. Like, we need to normalize talking around mental health. That's what I feel. And that was my sole purpose of writing my story.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So what's coming up for you?
What's coming up for me? So I'm a very, very random person. Like, although how planned and organized, I like to have my home and all that routine and stuff. When it comes to the blog, it's very organic. Like, like how on Instagram they are like, they curate the colors and the scheme and how you do the feed. I am totally random. I do not know what I'm going to post today, or will I post today or not. It's just, I feel something and I feel it relevant and I want to say something that I just, bugging in my head. I would just say it. So it's very, very random. And that is why I, when I started my photography business, I'll tell you a little story. So when I started blogging, I would be, obviously you get into the numbers game and you're like, oh, my numbers, and and then you're like, oh, would I get to work with brands and PRs and stuff like that? And you want to monetize your blog. There are like hundreds of articles on you reading on how to monetize the blog, because there's a lot of work and effort that goes into it.
Of course.
You want to, make money out of it. And that's perfectly fine. But I did work with a couple of brands, but those articles were the most difficult articles for me to write. And I suck at that because it was not coming from my heart. I had to curate it, like it was my opinion, of course, about a product or about a hotel or anything, but it was not coming from my heart. And I'm like, I felt the struggle that most bloggers probably do of keeping it real for your followers and doing justice to them, and then doing justice to the brand who's paying you or giving you an in-kind payment or whatever. So and that was the point where I decided I want to switch into photography. I don't want to sell my words. I would sell my skill as a photographer. Mm-hmm. So that is when I'm like, okay, so blog is purely my heart out, I don't want to be influenced by anything to write something. I would give I would write about a product that I really like. I got it, I bought it. It doesn't have to be given to me or something. But if I love it, I would talk about it because it comes from my heart. So that is what I decided to do, and that is why photography is my income source, whereas blog is just my that zone of and such a great community, not just in Qatar, of the followers, but all around the world, that you connect to, people who have the same, and I share struggles, and then people come up with that, oh, this give us strength, or that somebody tries a recipe. There was a very funny incident. Some old auntie back in Pakistan, I think, she tried one of my recipes of my mom. And then she messaged me, it was last Ramadan, that she said, my kids want this for iftar every day. And every day at iftar, we'd say a little prayer I pray for your family and for your kids.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I was like, and I told my husband, I don't need to make money out of my blog. This is enough for me. This is what I live for. I'm like, this is what I earned from this. So it's kind of, So again, I don't know what's coming up for my vlog or my photography, but it's just wherever God is taking me. It's just going with the flow.
Well, I did read that you're trying to publish your mom's recipes as a book or something like that.
That is one thing. That is one thing. That is a big project for me. And that was also kind of started because I lost my dad 5 years ago to cancer. And, once somebody passes away, we did something in his memory. And I was just, last year sitting with my mom, and I was thinking, she's 72. She's a breast cancer survivor as well. And, you don't know how long and you've seen one parent go. So you have that uncertainty. You feel that because everybody's life is uncertain, but you feel that once you have experienced once. So I thought to myself, I want to do something for her in her life, not as a memory, as a memory for her. So, and I'm getting her involved as well. It's like, okay, mom, you need to, make a list of stuff, and I need an index, and I need, so, she doesn't have my dad to take care of anymore. So she has a lot of time. So it's like she's involved in the project as well. So it's fun. She's like, I'm like, okay, you have to, so I've given her categories, the starters and mains and, vegetables and chicken and this and rice and desserts. And she's like, okay, I'm like, give me 10 of each. And, and then she's like, now start typing the recipes. Because she's like every mom now these days is like internet savvy. So I'm like, now, type it out as well. So it's like a combined project and having a lot of fun. Yeah. But I want to do that. Yes, inshallah, I want to do that in her life and not, not as a memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that's something very special to my heart. Again, not a project that I'm looking for as again a passion project.
That's amazing. That's a really good idea, by the way.
Yeah.
So so we'll be updated with whatever's happening in your life on your
Yes,
blog.
right now I'm researching options of how to publish, and like I'm not not an author or a publisher who's ever published, so
Yeah.
looking into that and getting my gear ready for the food photography, which of course I will do. It's my that's what I do like for a living. But so mom's recipes, my photography. Let's see how that comes out. I did the cover shoot. We were in Canada. She was in Canada in this winter. So I was like, we need to, take some photos for your recipe. So we started with that. So I have that. I have the cover, but we don't have anything yet inside the book. So
It'll come
Inshallah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. It was like, I was really nervous, but this was really easy because
I'm glad. I'm really glad. I love when people say that.
Yeah, because it was just like having a, heart-to-heart conversation with somebody.
That's what we try to do.
Yeah. It's lovely.
Thank you. And please come back anytime to update us with whatever's new in your life.
Okay, I will. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Have a great week, and I think it's gonna be Eid this week, so Eid Mubarak. Take care. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.